and welcome. Tonight, River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara makes his first public appearance since the declaration of a state of emergency in the state and his subsequent suspension from office. Amnesty International calls on the Nigerian authorities to immediately institute an independent and impartial investigation into the allegations of sexual harassment by Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan against the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio. Edo State Governor Monday Opeholo flags off the 125-kilometer Benue-Asaba Expressway, expected to be completed within 30 months. And a large-scale Russian drone attack on Kiev kills at least 3 persons, including a 5-year-old child, causing fires of high-rise apartment buildings and damage throughout the capital. 5 days after the declaration of a state of emergency in River State and the suspension of the state governor, the deputy governor, and members of the state assembly, Governor Siminalayi Fubara has made his first public appearance in the state. He was seen attending a church service at the headquarters of Salvation Ministries in Port Harcourt, the state capital. Governor Fubara was accompanied to the service by his chief of staff, Edison Ehie, the president general of Ahenes Ndibo Worldwide, John Azutambata, and the former deputy national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Sam Jaja, among others. His appearance is coming after speculations over his whereabouts about his suspension from office, which has now sparked a national debate. Governor Fubara appeared days after President Bola Tinubu declared the state of emergency, citing escalating political tensions and security concerns. The president also appointed retired Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas as the state's administrator to oversee the state's affairs for an initial period of 6 months. In the meantime, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has sued President Bola Tinubu for the suspension of River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara, his deputy, and members of the State House of Assembly. SERAP argues that the president's decision, citing Section 305 of the Constitution and the recent violence in the state, is unlawful and undermines democratic governance. The group claims the suspension violates constitutional provisions and international legal obligations. SERAP's Deputy Director, Kolawole Oluwadare, in a statement, emphasizes that the rule of law and the people's right to participate have been violated. While the controversy over the declaration of a state of emergency in River State continues, the All Progressives Congress, the APC Caretaker Committee in Benue State, is raising an alarm that the planned stakeholders meeting by the erstwhile Austin Agada-led State Working Committee is targeted at precipitating political instability aimed at pushing for a state of emergency in Benue. The chairman of the committee, Mr. Benjamin Omale, whose mandate was renewed along with his state working committee in the last APC National Executive Committee meeting, raised the alarm at the media briefing in Makurdi. He explains that the caretaker committee, which is a product of the reconciliation by the National Working Committee of the party to resolve the leadership crisis that rocked the state chapter of the party.
Activities at the State Secretariat of the All Progressives Congress, located along J.S. Takar Way in Makurdi, picks up with supporters and stakeholders who regrouped in solidarity with the Benjamin Omale-led Caretaker Committee. The meeting is coming on the heels of the planned stakeholders meeting called by erstwhile chairman of the party, Mr. Austin Agada, for the same venue. The meeting, according to the Caretaker Committee chairman, is aimed at creating crisis to destabilize the state in order to create room for a state of emergency in Benue.
We call on members of the APC not to take any of their Austin Agada instructions serious. His intentions was meant to cause chaos in the state. Interestingly, the same Agada who was told by the FCT High Court in Abuja that there is no security in Benue State have moved to the court to obtain order of the tribunal should remain in Abuja, now wanting to hold a meeting the same Benue where there is no security. What kind of confusion is this? What is the contradiction here? His only intention is to cause a breakdown of law and order in Benue State.
The secretary of the caretaker committee calls for unity to enable the party resolve the protracted intra-party crisis.
In our first term, when we came in at a period of crisis, it was our prayer and we hope that we're going to resolve all the crises within our first mandate. With this new mandate, we are hoping and praying that we'll be able to bring all APC members into fold as members of one APC family.
The party secretariat, Christine Bola Tinubu House, has been the battleground between the two sides as loyalists of Governor Hertzing Alian and the SGF, Mr. George Akume, have been at loggerhead over who controls the APC in Benue.
Matters now. Amnesty International has criticized what it describes as the Nigerian authorities' inaction on sexual harassment allegations against Senate President Godswill Akpabio. The human rights group is demanding an immediate independent investigation, warning that failure to act will perpetuate a system of impunity and silence for survivors. Amnesty International says the National Assembly cannot continue to ignore or trivialize these serious claims. And talking about different strokes, the National Coalition of Civil Society Organizations is now asking Nigerians to support the leadership of the National Assembly led by Senator Godswill Akpabio. Speaking to journalists in Abuja after staging a peaceful protest, the national coordinator of the coalition, Comrade Adebayo Oguri, says the controversy surrounding the suspension of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan is a needless one aimed at distracting the Senate.
The Senate must not bow to emotional blackmail or social media outrage fueled by false or half-truth narratives. Nigeria's democracy thrives when its institutions are strong, disciplined, and governed by rules, not when they are manipulated to serve personal or partisan interests. We must ensure that the principles of accountability, order, and respect remain the guiding forces of our legislative process. This is not about silencing anyone. It is about ensuring that the Senate remains a place of reasoned debates, not theatrical disruptions. We applaud Senator Godswill Akpabio and the Senate for upholding the principles of order, discipline, and respect for the institution. The Senate's decision to suspend Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan was a necessary measure to maintain the integrity and dignity of the legislative body.
A tragedy has struck in Zamfara state after 10 security operatives, including members of the Community Protection Guards and local vigilantes, were killed in a bandit ambush in the Ankara local government area of the state. Sources are saying that the operatives were returning from a successful joint operation with the Nigerian army when they were attacked. Zamfara State Governor Dauda Lawal has confirmed this incident, stating that the victims were part of the team that had neutralized several bandits. Expressed deep sorrow, revealing that 6 community protection guards and 4 vigilantes lost their lives, while 3 others remain missing. The governor has ordered immediate medical assistance for the injured and relief materials for the bereaved families. He is also calling for prayers for the souls of the fallen heroes and for an end to the ongoing security crisis in the state. And in a shocking turn of events, a woman has been killed and 2 others injured after a police officer opened fire in Calabar, the Cross River State capital. The statement issued by the Police Public Relations Officer, Cross River State Command, Ibo Rene, also says Inspector Afiang Bassi, who serves as the Divisional Police Headquarters in Atakwa, Calabar, returned from his night duty in a condo microfinance bank and began to exhibit abnormal behavior. According to the police, Inspector Bassi refused to hand over the AK-47 rifle while he was assigned with, and instead proceeded to block the station's gate, preventing anyone from entering or leaving the premises. Despite attempts at peaceful dialogue to resolve the situation, the officer's action is reported to have escalated as Inspector Bassi, the police suspect to be mentally deranged, opened fire on bystanders who had been instructed to leave the area. The officer was eventually subdued, disarmed, and now in police custody, where he is undergoing further investigation. The other 2 victims are currently receiving treatment and are in stable condition. There are conflicting reports over the alleged explosion at Soko gas facility located in Akukutoro local government area of River State. The executive director of the center also reported the eyewitness accounts and information from local youth volunteers says an explosion occurred at the gas facility, which is operated by Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas NLNG Limited. The precise cause of that explosion is yet to be determined, with speculation ranging from equipment failure to potential sabotage. In stark contrast, however, the Soko Kingdom leadership, represented by its General Secretary, Mr. Witness Alasia, dismissed the reports as mischievous misinformation, assuring the public of safety and operational integrity of the Soko gas plant. The skirmishes between the Bayi and Fulani people residing in Farindutse community in Nasarawa local government area of Nasarawa state has so far claimed 13 lives, with several people injured and numerous properties destroyed. The skirmishes erupted as a result of the alleged destruction of farm crops belonging to the Bayi people. But Governor Abdullahi Sule is now promising to bring the perpetrators to book, just as the senator representing the people visited the area to assess the level of destruction. Our correspondent Halima Gayam reports.
Farindutse, a community in Nasarawa local government area of Nasarawa state, inhabited by the Bagi and Fulani people as well as other tribes, is now a fragment of its former self after an inter-ethnic clash. The hitherto farming community is deserted as the people have fled their homes over fear of reprisal attacks. The situation is as a result of skirmishes between the two tribes, which has claimed several lives, with numerous houses and other properties destroyed in 8 affected communities. The conflict, according to some affected residents, is due to the destruction of farm crops belonging to the Bagi people.
We heard that a Fulani man was cutting mango. So when our boy closed from church, he went to village to go and remove the mango. So he now found the Fulani man cutting mango for his cows to eat. So when the boy now talked, after he was turning back, the Fulani man now caught him and killed him. We went to their place, we didn't find anybody. So our boys, because of hunger, they now decided to burn their ruga.
An initial intervention by security agencies made no impact, as residents claim a retaliatory attack amplified the situation. The lawmaker representing the people at the upper chamber of the National Assembly visits the area to ascertain the level of destruction and offer preliminary support.
I have come to commiserate with the people and also draw their attentions to the fact that we don't need this. Violence, crisis, all do not bring development.
During an executive council meeting, Governor Abdullahi Sule enumerates government's action on the matter.
Very unfortunate that the local government chairman and other stakeholders of the local government, as well as the security agencies, have been very kind and up to us, and we want to sincerely thank them for everything. I condole the families of the victims. Those that are responsible for the killings have been identified and arrested, and then justice will be followed thereafter.
As the call to restore peace heightens, the people want a truce as well as government support to bounce back.
The Fulani and the Bagi people and other tribes around there are calling us to coexist peacefully, because when there is peace, there is prosperity, and where there is no peace, there is no prosperity. And by the grace of God, we will do our best to see how we restore understanding, harmony, and prosperity.
For now, the people are at ease and are taking refuge in neighboring communities, but as they count their losses, they anticipate government's intervention to restore normalcy in addition to preventing further escalation. Halima Gayam, Channels Television News.
In part 2, after the break, Edo State Governor Monday Okweholo flags off the 125-kilometer Benin-Asaba Expressway, expected to be completed within 30 months. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara makes his first public appearance since the declaration of a state of emergency in the state and his subsequent suspension from office. Amnesty International calls on the Nigerian authorities to immediately institute an independent and impartial investigation into the allegations of sexual harassment by Senator Natasha Potidwa against the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio. Edo State Governor Monday Okpayolo flags off the 125-kilometer Benin-Asaba Expressway, expected to be completed within 30 months. And a large-scale Russian drone attack on Kiev has killed at least 3 persons, including a 5-year-old child, causing fires in high-rise apartments and damage throughout the capital. The volatility in the price and supply of petrol right here in Nigeria may be far from over. But earlier this week, the management of Dangote Group confirmed the temporary suspension of sales of petroleum products in Naira. So what is the outlook for domestic petrol price and supply for the second quarter of this year? To shed more light on this, Babajide Ogunsanwo, founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's data analyst, is here to give us maybe more intelligence about the state of crude oil and fuel in Nigeria. Thank you very much, Babajide, for joining us on the news at 10.
Good evening.
Fuel, I mean, that concerns everyone. But the management of Dangote have already given reasons why they have decided to suspend selling petrol in Naira. Does this mean that petrol price is about to go up? Because that is a concern of every Nigerian.
This means there's still uncertainty, and when there's uncertainty, and our best case scenario will be prices will stay stable. So this means uncertainty, and the evidence shows that whenever there's uncertainty, the best case scenario will be prices will stay stable. But there are two other things that I think we probably should talk about tonight. The first is for the NNPC, and the second is for the Dangote refinery. Now, for the NNPC, right? NNPC right now seems to be the custodian of the most sacred text, manuscript in the world, and that is how much petrol has been imported into Nigeria in the last 6 months. Those texts, so sacred, is a mystery. No one actually has the right figures. Why? Now, for the Dangote refinery, the evidence, and a lot of people have said that it seems that the Dangote refinery is pumping out more press releases than it is pumping out petrol. Let's take a look at some of this evidence. Since the president mediated last year, September, we've seen press releases almost every 30 days. January 19th this year, we saw that official statement talking about the need to clarify the ex-depot price and why the prices were still going to be going up. According to their press release, 19th of January this year, the Dangote refinery said crude oil remained the primary input in the production of PMS, and any fluctuation in its international price inevitably impacts the cost of the finished product. Now, that statement was the 19th of January. Clearly, the Dangote refinery and its management were saying crude oil prices significantly influences the petrol price it will send to those that will come to the depot to pick up. What has happened this week? March 19th, the Dangote refinery, another press statement saying that a temporary suspension of sales on petroleum products in Nigeria, more or less saying this decision is necessary, according to the company, for them to avoid a mismatch between its sales proceeds and its crude oil purchase obligations, which it says are currently denominated in dollars. For the common man, what the Dangote refinery's management is saying is that if they will buy crude oil in dollars, then it will be hard for them to sell in Naira. If they keep buying crude oil in Naira, then they probably will still sell in Naira. But above all, there's a lot of press releases, and that's why on the lighter note, people are saying they're pumping out more press releases than they are pumping out petrol.
But if petrol price and probably crude oil price are highly correlated, then what is the price forecast for crude oil in the next 90 days?
So looking at the evidence that we have, the price forecast, especially for the 90 days, will most likely be within the range of $75 to $90, especially looking at what is going on globally. It'll be interesting for us to take a look at what the price has been, the price points, the average price points has been since the president came in the second quarter of 2023. And if we take a look at that, what we'll realize is that 2025, in terms of crude oil pricing, has been the lowest, and which is really not good news for the president. Here's what I mean. In the second quarter of 2023, according to the Central Bank of Nigeria, average crude oil prices $79.68. What happened in the next 5 quarters? We see quarter 3 2023 to quarter 3 2024. In all of those quarters, average crude oil prices per barrel was above $80 per barrel, and that's why we coded those 5 quarters in green. All those are the quarters where average crude oil prices exceeded $80 per barrel. What has happened since the fourth quarter of last year? Fourth quarter of last year, average crude oil price dropped to $75. Now we're still at $77. And clearly we know the significance of a higher crude oil price on government revenue. So clearly 2025 hasn't been the sort of year that will make the Nigerian government smile.
Now, since we're talking about the Nigerian government, how much progress do you think the government has made with improving crude oil production in the country?
If we look at the evidence which we are about to look at, there is some good news. Let's start with the recent statement from the group CEO of the NNPCL, Mele Kyari. Yeah. He's made his statements very clear, and that's his position on the ideas of the NNPCL and not its battles will shape the future of the NNPCL. Now, what is the evidence to back this statement? Let's take a look at Nigeria's crude oil strategy that allows us to understand clearly from the chart of the week perhaps why a lot of competition is going on between the NNPCL and Dangote. Now, these are the facts from the central bank. They've made it clear that in 2023, Nigeria's oil production, average oil production was 1.25 million barrels per day. As at 2023, 65% of this crude oil production was exported. Now look at what happened last year in 2024. 1.33 million barrels average per day, an improvement over 2023. And what did the government do? Exported even more of that crude oil volume. 67% of those crude oil volumes of last year exported. Now, what is the position as at 2025 from the central bank's data? They say average crude oil production this year, 1.5 million barrels, and we are exporting even much more, 70%. So clearly, what is happening is we are producing more crude oil, and we're even exporting, in terms of the ratio of what is being produced, we're exporting more. So clearly, that seems to be the government's strategy. The government wants to earn more dollars. Yeah. And if we're producing more and exporting more volumes, that clearly means the capacity and the amount of volumes that will be left for local refinery will be limited. So clearly, from the numbers, we can clearly see the direction of the federal government, and we can clearly see why the NNPCL is also taking that position. Let's produce more crude oil volumes, and let's export more of these volumes to get dollars. Now, the real question for the future will be, what will the government do with all of these dollars? All
right. I guess in the course of the year, we'll find out how much will be spent on making Nigeria better. Thank you very much, Babajide Ogunsowo, founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's data analyst, for your interesting conversation.
Thank you, and we'll do this again next week.
We'll do it again next week. All right, to other stories now. Let's head to Edo State, where the governor, Monday Okpeholo, today flagged off the 125-kilometer Benin-Asaba road project, which is designed to connect vibrant economic regions of the country in Benin City. The governor flagged off the project on behalf of President Bola Tinubu in what is expected to be a federal government-private investor initiative. According to the fund managers, the overall project cost for the rehabilitation and the value-added connection of the Benin-Asaba highway is to be funded by the Benin-Asaba Expressway Concession Company Limited and Africa Plus partner Nigeria Limited Consortium.
The Igbabolemi A display of traditional acrobatics entertains dignitaries, including the governor of Edo State, the deputy governor of Delta State, ministers, lawmakers, top government functionaries from Edo and Delta States, APC leaders, leadership team from the funding partner, Africa Plus Partner Nigeria Limited Consortium, and other guests who have converged on the section of the Benin-Agbo-Asaba Road for the flag-off of the 125-kilometer Benin-Asaba Expressway project, a federal government, private sector investor arrangement.
Under this partnership, the road will be rehabilitated, upgraded to international standard, and maintained efficiently for the next 25 years.
In their goodwill messages, the Minister of Finance and the Senator representing Edo North, former Governor Adams Oshomole, touch on the benefits and sustainability of the projects.
This is one road in Edo State, but there are so many others waiting to be commissioned week after week, month after month, according to this particular model, which brings private and public sector together in a partnership that is the commitment, the policy, the determination, and the strategy of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to deliver world-class infrastructure in record time in a sustainable financial model.
For me, we have to find a lasting solution that after building roads, those who drive big trucks on those roads must pay for using the road. And that money must be re-injected in maintaining those roads.
The Minister of Works addresses this and shares other information.
And so it is a very wonderful commitment of Mr. President to the entire Niger Delta region, especially in Edo State. And you come to Edo State, you now find out the 3 sections that are going to Warri. And I want to commend you very, very highly. The first section is being done by Levant. And just a few weeks back, we were here to appeal to you that you should intervene. And Governor, you intervene by taking out 23 kilometers of the road that is going to Warri, and for a total contract sum of not less than 40 billion. And that work has commenced.
Governor Monday Okpewulu, who represents President Bola Tinubu, says Edo people are committed to President Tinubu's 2027 agenda, given the attention he's shown Edo State.
The road from Lagos to Calabar, I want to thank him. Superhighway, who else can do that? Even our old son could not remember this. I want to thank Mr. President. That is actually the song of this nation. Because he's not doing it in the south alone. He's not doing it in the southeast alone. He's doing it in the north central, northwest, and northeast. I want to thank him for being a father to the nation.
The project is expected to be completed in 30 months. It's subsequently flagged off with a handing over and ribbon cutting exercises. Jessica Olubuse, Channels Television News.
And still ahead on the news at 10, Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun warns officers against illegal detention, says that there will be consequences for such actions. Please stay with us. Welcome back. To security matters now, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has issued a stern reminder to all members of the Nigeria Police Force regarding the importance of respecting the fundamental rights in the context of pre-trial detentions. A statement signed by the Force Public Relations Officer ACP Olumuyiwa Adejobi says the IGP emphasized that the adherence to stipulated detention periods is not only a legal obligation, but also a fundamental aspect of upholding the dignity and rights of individuals as enshrined in sections 34 and 35 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which guarantees the right to dignity and personal liberty. The statement adds that the IGP is against any practice that might lead to unlawful or prolonged detentions, which can undermine public trust and confidence in the police, reiterating that any officer found violating these principles will face serious consequences. The statement further adds that the Nigeria Police Force is committed to ensuring that all individuals in custody are treated with respect and in accordance with the law. Meanwhile, human rights and civil society organizations led by the Clean Foundation have accused security agencies and other state actors of violating human rights during the nationwide End Bad Governance protest in 2024. At a news conference in Kaduna to review their report on the protests, the group highlighted concerns over the illegal arrest, detention and persecution of protesters, including minors, by state actors, calling for a revision of the country's Public Order Act.
The 2024 End Bad Governance protest took place as a result of what the organizers termed as a response to the deep-rooted governance failures, economic hardships, and systematic inequalities that have plagued the country for decades. The protest, which began peacefully in many states across the country, later escalated into violence due to tensions from security agencies who attempted to stop the protest. 7 months after the incident, the Clean Foundation, in collaboration with other civil society organizations, provided detailed evaluation of the conduct of law enforcement agencies during the protest.
The use of force was actually seen as one of the biggest varying degrees from state to state, depending on the use of ammunition. We saw in some places where canisters were deployed, in some places there were live rounds, and of course in other instances we saw the excessive use of force that led to injuries and of course to other people who were dead. In terms of the lives that were lost, about 23 persons, as we mentioned, lost their lives throughout that 10 days, and that we think was unfortunate.
Other civil society organizations also bear their minds on the End Bad Governance protests, which they say have left a lasting negative impact on Nigeria's political landscape and setting the stage for a new era of civic engagement.
Now we should concentrate on the public, that even if we need to riot, even if we need to air our grievance, we should do it according to the law. And then the public officers, to the public servants, knowing that if they know that they have such powers, they should not overdo it.
Accountability is a very crucial thing. It's both ways. We have to hold ourselves accountable at the same time as we try to hold government accountable, and to ensure that whatever it is that we do in good faith, once we follow the set down rules and order, it's very difficult, extremely difficult for government to have its way.
Although the End Bad Governance protest has come and gone, the Clean Foundation and other civil society organizations, however, recommend strengthening accountability mechanisms, enhancing human rights protection and promotion, through periodic training for law enforcement agencies and fostering community engagement to rebuild trust and confidence in the system.
The political class should ensure justice, equity, and promote social inclusion in order to reduce the level of poverty which fuels extremism. Well, that's part of the message from the lecture delivered by a former chairman and chief executive of the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, Zakrullah Hassan, at the 2025 special iftar organized by the Ogun state government, held at the Arcade Ground on the governor's office in the state capital, Abeokuta. The state governor, Dapo Abiodun, seized the occasion to appeal to youth in the country to seek more knowledge for better understanding for a united and peaceful Nigeria.
The 2025 annual special iftar, organized by the Ogun state government, brings together scholars, traditional rulers from the 4 zones of the state, members of the National and State Assembly, service commanders, members of the State Executive Council, and Islamic faithful.
Right or wrong or perception of injustice.
Delivering the lecture titled Islam and the Rejection of Extremism, the former chairman and chief executive officer of the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, Zakrullah Hassan, identified injustice, poverty, manipulation of the policy which breeds contempt as the root cause of extremism.
The first indeed was that the economy was bad. There were more poor people, and they are growing in several numbers. The external influence came in, and then we had issues that we cannot manage. Quickly, Your Excellency, therefore, the first solution to extremism is to continuously find a way to decrease poverty in our environment. The second would be to ensure that justice is at all times.
The Ogun State Governor, Dapo Abiodun, challenged the youth to seek more knowledge and understanding towards reducing strife that causes political and religious crisis in the country.
I want all you to seek knowledge, pursue wisdom, and embrace the noble values of Islam. Ask questions, explore your faith, and let the spirit of understanding lead you towards greatness. And as Prophet said, seek knowledge. Seeking knowledge is an obligation upon every Muslim.
He also used the occasion to assure residents of the state about the commitment of his administration towards providing the much-needed purposeful leadership for development.
Here in Ogun State, government remains committed to promoting interfaith harmony, religious tolerance, and peaceful coexistence. We deeply appreciate the invaluable contributions of our Muslim brothers and sisters towards building a just, inclusive, and progressive society.
Governor Abiodun also asked Nigerians to seize the opportunity of the teachings and lessons of the season to take care of the less privileged in society.
Over now to a highlight of the Niger Delta Development Commission's ongoing efforts to support persons with disabilities in Abia State. The NDDC's Abia State Director, Mr. Zubuike Nwobani, has reaffirmed the agency's commitment to social intervention, emphasizing their dedication to improving the lives of those facing mobility challenges. The Commission distributed crucial assisted materials in Okwa West, reinforcing their promise of community development and support.
The NDDC marks its 25th anniversary with a crucial seminar dedicated to the rights and inclusion of persons with disabilities in Abia State. Attendees from across the region gathered to champion this vital cause. Representing the NDDC, John Okechukwu highlights the workshop's core mission to ensure the rights and well-being of persons with disabilities are prioritized in every facet of society and development.
Today we are remembering the people with some persons with disabilities, and we are donating some aids, mobile aids, at least to make life a little bit easy for them. You know, this is part of his effort in ensuring that he brings about the sustainable development in the NDDC and in the Niger Delta as a whole.
Abia State NDDC Director, Mr. Zubike Nwobani, NDDC consultant Nathaniel Excellence, notes that the initiative is designed to directly address social inequalities. The goal, to empower persons with disabilities, fostering their economic and social participation within their communities.
We assemble here over 150 persons with various levels of disability, and we had some kind of empowerment program, presentations by various speakers speaking to them generally on leadership, mental health, and then we've also made provisions for donation of items like wheelchair, crutches, and some items for the blind. All of this is to assist these vulnerable members of our society to at least make their life a lot more easier than they would without this item.
Speaking on behalf of the NDDC's Director of Education, Health and Social Services, Dr. Diane Zosal, reaffirms the Commission's unwavering support. He assures persons living with disabilities of their commitment to their well-being and continued development.
And encourage other support groups to put them in the limelight so that they have their own rights as well as equal rights like every other individual, and also give these aids to them.
I thank the NDDC Commission for giving me this wheelchair to assist me and to make movement.
The beneficiaries, persons living with disabilities, are excited as they look forward to how these assistive devices will significantly improve their mobility and communication, ultimately boosting their economic and social inclusion within their communities.
And operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, have apprehended a 42-year-old Indian woman, Miss Netu, at the Malam Aminu Kano International Airport in Kano. She was found carrying 72 parcels of heroin, totaling 11 kilograms, concealed in wafer wraps and disguised as chocolates. The drugs were discovered following a thorough search of her luggage during the arrival clearance of Qatar Airways flight from Bangkok via Vietnam and Doha on March the 14th, 2025. The agency says that operation underscores the growing trend of drug trafficking organizations recruiting foreign nationals to smuggle illicit substances through Nigerian borders. In addition to Ms. Nitu's case, the NDLEA reported several other significant arrests made in Kano. On March the 20th, a 45-year-old suspect named Michael Ogundele was captured with 50-liter steel gas cylinder, while another suspect, Sunday Ogar, was apprehended with 27 kilograms of skunk, a cannabis strain. Khadija Abdullahi was also arrested with 424 bottles of codeine-based syrup. And right here in Lagos, two individuals, Olumu Iwakolawole and Samoda Disa, were detained with 67.5 kilograms of skunk, alongside other arrests involving different narcotics. And now to the arts. All Guts is a group exhibition by contemporary artists, and it's here at Iwalewa Gallery right here in Lagos. Well, the artist brings different strokes and techniques to the exhibition hall, and we see it tonight on Art Review.
The lessons acquired from an informal art training school comes to bear in this group exhibition titled All Guts at the Iwalewa Gallery of Art in Lagos.
The exhibition's title, All Guts, references the raw and unbridled emotions that fuels our existence. It acknowledges the messy and often painful but yet beautiful experience of the nature of a human being. We all go through different things, right? And each person expresses these things that they go through differently. And each art piece here serves as a testament to that effect. So All Guts is basically each artist exhibiting how they feel, the emotions and everything they feel uniquely in their own special styles and techniques. So that's why the All Guts came. And I mean, to tie it with this generation that we find ourselves, everybody's doing something bold and, you know, courageous, and it's high time that artists also put themselves out there to do bold things and courageous things as well, especially here in Nigeria.
Yeah, today's exhibition is a very different exhibition, coming from a school, an informal school. So this is a product of the hard experience from the Amazon workshop, which inspired the exhibition.
The paintings explore different issues the artists are passionate about, using their unique styles and techniques.
This one I have Houses on the Rock. It was actually inspired during my youth service in Jos City, when I traveled to Jos for my youth service. So I saw the way they use cactus plants, you know, to do more like a fence around their surroundings, not necessarily it has to be block or raise the building, and that speaks to me. I find it so artistic, you know, just seeing those cactus plants as a form of fence, you know, and it's a very rocky environment, you know, whereby even you have buildings on the rock. So that speaks to me a lot. I don't think I can get tired. I have series of it.
Outside the exhibition hall, there's a performance ongoing.
Let's delve into the world of sports now. Super Eagles head coach Eric Chelle has barred visitors and journalists from the camp of the Super Eagles in Uyo ahead of Tuesday's 2026 World Cup qualifiers against Zimbabwe, demanding maximum concentration from the players. The team also trained behind closed doors earlier today at the Godswill Akpabio Stadium, while the media will be allowed access to the first 15 minutes of the team's training on Monday. Having defeated Rwanda 2-0 in Kigali on Friday, their first win in 5 matches, of the qualifying series. The coach has warned his players not to get carried away. But Nigeria is fourth in Group C with 6 points, while Zimbabwe are in bottom of the group on 3 points from 5 matches. Rivers United have cut down the lead at the top of Nigeria Premier League to 5 points, although the league leaders Remo Stars have a game in hand. But the Pride of Rivers defeated Ikorodu City by a lone goal at the Adokia Mesiameka Stadium in Port Harcourt. Stephen Manyo got the only goal of the game as the former champion stayed on the second spot with 52 points from 30 league games. Bayelsa United forced Enyimba International to a 1-1 draw in Aba. Abia Warriors are in third spot on the log, thanks to a 1-0 win against host Heartland of Owerri. As for Katsina United, they recorded the highest win of the day, beating El Kanemi Warriors 3-0. It's back-to-back win for Promise Keepers Aqua United, who recorded the only away win against Kwara United in Ilori. Away from sports stories now, Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney has called for a snap election for April 28th this year. The former Bank of England governor says that he needs a clear mandate to deal with Donald Trump, saying that the U.S. president wants to break us so America will own us, in his words. But earlier, the Conservative Party's Pierre laid out his own campaign pitch, saying that he will approach the U.S. as a respectful and firm and strong leader. It comes amid a soaring relationship with the U.S. as Mr. Trump wages a trade war against Canada. He's also saying that he wants Canada to become the 51st U.S. state. Mr. Carney, the leader of the Liberal Party, will face competition from Conservatives leader and leader of the New Democratic Party, and yes, Francois, leader of the Bloc Party. The Hamas-run Health Ministry has announced that more than 50,000 Palestinians have been killed during Israel's military campaign in Gaza. Well, that number, that's 50,021, equates to about 2.1% of the 2.3 million pre-war population of that territory, or around 1 in 46 people. A total of 113,274 others have been injured in the same period.
The war on Hamas was triggered by the Hamas attack on Israel on October 7, 2023, in which about 1,200 people, mainly civilians, were killed and 251 others taken hostage. Since then, Israel has launched an unrelenting war on the Hamas militant group, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowing to extinguish members of the group even to the last. Off and on, Israel has carried out its promise on the enclave. The militants are believed to be carrying out their operations from Gaza, punctuated by ceasefires and warnings of evacuations. This happened as Israel resumed its offensive in Gaza on March 18, 58 days after a ceasefire agreement with Hamas took effect. On Sunday, the Israel Defense Forces released this footage, purportedly documenting a military operation in the Tal al-Sultan area of southern Gaza's Rafah. Soldiers were seen patrolling dirt roads, accompanied by security dogs. The IDF claimed that its forces had encircled the area over the past hour as part of an operation aimed at dismantling terrorist infrastructure and eliminating armed elements. On the same Sunday, dozens of bodies arrived at Nasser Hospital in southern Gaza's Khan Yunis, following a fresh wave of alleged Israeli airstrikes. One local woman wailed, "What did they do to them? What did a child like this do to them?" Palestinian news media reports that dozens of citizens were martyred and injured in the ongoing Israeli bombardment since the early hours of Sunday on the Rafah and Khan Yunis districts in southern Gaza.
Pope Francis has been discharged from the Gemelli Hospital in Rome, though doctors are saying that he will need at least 2 months to rest at the Vatican. Pope Francis has been at the hospital since February the 14th, where he had presented 2 very critical episodes where his life was in danger. But doctors are saying that Pope Francis was never inundated and always remained alert and oriented. And at least 3 persons have been killed, including a child, following a Russian drone strike in Kiev. President Zelensky says that a father and his 5-year-old daughter were among the casualties. Ukraine's Air Force says it has shot down 97 of 147 drones launched in the country. Meanwhile, Russia's defense ministry says that it shot down almost 60 Ukrainian drones and says that 1 person has been killed after a car caught fire following the strikes. And the main news again. River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara today made his first public appearance since the declaration of a state of emergency in the state and his subsequent suspension from office. Mr. Fubara was seen attending a church service on Sunday at the headquarters of Salvation Ministries in GRA, Port Harcourt, River State. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. Have a wonderful week ahead. Good night.